If you're anything like me, you've spent way too much time watching other travel YouTubers and thinking to yourself, man, I wish I could go to wherever they've gone and do whatever they are doing. But life keeps lifing, right? By the time you've dealt with the kids and the bills, and if you're like me, the co-parenting and schedules and all that kind of stuff, another year goes by and you realize the furthest you've gone is the grocery store. Well, that was me too, until I decided to do something about it. I'm Mike, a single dad of 3, and I decided that I'm finally going to stop just watching those travel YouTubers and I'm gonna start trying to live like them. And today, I wanna show you some ways that you can too. So let's get into why it's so important to travel with your kids, why so many parents don't feel like they're able to, and how you can start planning trips without losing your mind and your wallet. And when we're all done, I'll give you some recommendations on some places that you might go for your first international trip. And spoilers, it's not Disneyland. I'm gonna level with you. I used to think that travel was just for couples and families that had it all together. Not families like mine. The ones that can go and they can Instagram and they can do the luxury and they make it look so enticing but also so out of reach. There were months in my life where even going for a coffee felt like a stretch of the budget, let alone plane tickets and hotels. Yet somehow here we are. I found myself in the process of taking my kids literally around the world. Not because I have all this extra cash in the world, but because I refuse to let our circumstance define our story. And that's why I can say from experience, because I'm not rich. I know exactly what it's like to start over again from zero and still make travel happen. Through all the challenges, travel has been the thing that's given us far more comedy than drama, much more fun and laughter than tears. It's given us nearly missed flights, it's given us melted ice cream, it's given us challenges on the road, but it's also given us so many amazing memories. And it's the memories that are so important because things may come and go, circumstances may come and go, but a memory is with you for life. And I'm not just talking out of my butt here, there is science to back it up. A 2019 travel management study found that children who travel do way better in school, better in math, better in reading, better in problem solving, literally the works. Other studies have found that kids who travel have far better communication skills and higher levels of confidence. So when we're catching a red-eye flight and my kids are tired and barely functioning, and I'm kind of wondering, was this worth it? The answer is yes. It is worth it because it is teaching them lessons in life that school can't even touch. Travel will teach your kids adaptability, curiosity, and it's going to show them that they are way more capable than maybe they even thought they were. And in the end, it gives them something more than school lunches and bedtime routines to look forward to. But knowing all this definitely doesn't make it any easier. So we're gonna start to cover the real barriers that stop parents from traveling and give you some tools and tricks to overcome them. And once we've gone through everything, I hope that you're gonna see that being able to travel isn't just about having more money or more time off, it's about having a plan. So let's start by talking about those barriers. All right. Let's talk about the first major barrier, money. And I get it. There's barely enough money for all the bills and all the things that the kids want, let alone to go travel. But here's the truth. It's not necessarily about how much money you have, but how you plan and use that money. When you're traveling, it doesn't have to be 5-star hotels. It doesn't have to be private taxis and the best of the excursions and all that kind of stuff. So instead of staring at your bank account and lamenting what you don't have, here's some ways that you can actually get that budgeting going and get that first trip in the books. Budget backwards. So Instead of planning a whole trip, coming up with the cost and seeing that big amount of money, think about it backwards. Think about what you can put away on a monthly basis, whether it's 50 bucks, 100 bucks, or whatever, doesn't matter. Start with that and then work it forward from there, and that will give you your budget. So even if it's only $50 you can put away into savings, that gives you a baseline for how long it's going to take you to save to get to your trip. Now that you've got that baseline and you know how long it might take, now you know what kind of trip you can plan and you can start planning towards that. Next, pick destinations that just don't cost as much. Traveling throughout the States and even a lot of the Caribbean is quite expensive. But you know what? Even though the plane tickets are more expensive, places like Southeast Asia or even places in Eastern Europe can be far cheaper and stretch your dollar a lot more, and helps everybody become even that much more excited for the trip. The next one is one of my favorites. Embrace the $150 lifestyle. Now, if you check some of these videos here, put them there, there, definitely gotta go there. So if you check out some of these videos here, you'll see our $150 challenge. And that's our family's challenge to go and live a day somewhere on $150 for the 4 of us. 1 adult, 3 kids. And is it always possible? No. Is it always easy? Definitely not. But by putting a budget on a day, you're able to more accurately budget your entire trip. Now, are you going to spend $150 every day? Absolutely not. Some days you're going to spend more than that. Oftentimes you're going to spend less. But by averaging about $150 a day, you've got a great budget baseline for your trip. And you would be surprised what you can do for a family of 4 on $150. And hey, the good news is, if you've got less than 3 kids, it gets even easier. All right, the next barrier, and it's probably the one that I've struggled with the most myself, and that's the what if something happens barrier. And this one definitely hits home more to the single parents and especially the co-parents. And not gonna lie, especially as a co-parent, you can feel like the whole world is watching you. And any mistake that you make with the kids can have big ramifications. And again, preparation. The thing that really helped me get over these kind of what if things happen hump was just being prepared for absolutely anything I could think of. So I did what any reasonable adult would do. I created a binder. And in this binder, I filled it with basically everything you would need. So, what goes in the binder? Thing number 1, your travel authorization or consent. Especially if you're co-parenting, you need to have something in paper that says that you're allowed to travel with the children, because when you go through immigration especially, they may ask you. And I'll be honest, it's only happened once to me. When I was coming back from Jamaica to Canada, the immigration agent asked me if I was authorized to travel with my children, wanted to see the paperwork, and this saved me. After that, parenting order, if you have one, those are the first 2 things. Next things that go in there are paper copies of your and your kids' passports, birth certificates, healthcare cards, all that kind of stuff, and any other paperwork that you have. Some of the things we'll go over, like having insurance paperwork, all those kind of things go in the binder. The binder goes in your backpack or your carry-on so that it's with you all the time. Preparedness. In addition to having the binder, there are some things that you need to make sure that you have prepared for. Like I mentioned first, insurance, make sure you've got it. When we travel, we use Safety Wing. They are incredibly inexpensive. You can do them per trip, or if you're going to be going for a longer time, you can actually do them per month. I think for our 10-day trip, we spent $140 Canadian, which is incredibly inexpensive for an adult and 3 children. Have backups of everything. Like I mentioned, in your binder, you're going to want to have all your court documentation. You're going to want to have copies of your passports and all that. Also keep a digital copy in your phone. Between your phone and the binder, You'll have them somewhere that's easily accessible. Obviously, you also want to share your itinerary and have that as fully filled out as possible and make sure that anybody who needs to know knows. Now, I get it, you don't always want to share exactly where you are, but it's important that at least somebody back home knows where you're going to be and is in a position to help you if necessary. Have a lost kid plan. Now, I am going to be honest, this never happens. I have never heard of parents losing their kids when they're traveling. But it's definitely a worry that happens, especially when you're the only adult there and you're trying to wrangle and manage everything. So just have a plan. If your kids have phones, make sure that they have an eSIM or something like that. Again, I use Airloo for my eSIMs, making sure that if we're out and about and a kid does happen to get separated, and again, it's never happened, but if they do, they've got a way to call back and we can get in contact with each other and find each other. Added bonus, if you have iPhones, then it's easy to track them and find them anyway. And of course, when you're traveling, just stay present. If you are spending the time with them, talking to them, showing them things, pointing things out, doing the experience with them, well, things are less likely to happen. So, like I said, get insurance, have a backup of everything, share your itinerary, be present, but also know that it is so incredibly rare that something actually happens to this extent on a trip that preparing is more for your sake than it is for anything else. All right, next barrier. And this is one that I alluded to just before, but it's kind of like Big Brother's watching you, if you know what I mean. If you're co-parenting, you may have that feeling like you're being judged and everything you do is being watched. And I get it because I live with that every single day. So, how do you deal with it? Well, first of all, you've got to know that a lot of the pressure that you feel comes more from yourself than it does from anybody else. And I know that you feel that your ex is probably watching, your parents are probably watching, your friends, and they're judging everything you do, everything you spend, everywhere you go. But again, it's probably mostly you. Now, if you have an especially exuberant former partner, then the way to combat that is just to be so boring and so over-prepared that there is nothing left to say. Make sure they know everything about where you're going, how you're doing it, etc., etc. But I also make sure that stuff is just normal and everyday, nothing that anybody could go and say, oh my gosh, they did what? Or they went where? And that's not to say that you can't still have fun, because the fact of the matter is, most places that you can get on a plane and go from point A to point B to are also relatively safe. Now, I'm not telling you to go to Colombia or to Venezuela right now. Obviously, you have to do a little bit of thinking, have to know what you're doing and where you're going and do that research. But the fact of the matter is, the best way to combat the watchfulness is just to be boring. Be so prepared that there's nothing that's there that can even be said about what you're doing, how you've prepared for it, how you're paying for it, etc., etc. And hey, since you're like me and you like the proof, here's the proof. A 2023 Travel Association report found that 84% of parents who traveled found that their fears about what could happen on the trip were way worse than their actual travel reality. The fact of the matter is, it's rare that things are going to happen, and even though you have those fears, don't let them stop you. The next barrier, again, is going to be one of those big ones if you are co-parenting, and that is your parenting time and your authorization to even travel. But here's the good news. Most parenting plans have provisions for travel in them anyway. And if yours doesn't, I would definitely look into getting them added, either by speaking to your lawyer or wherever you are, whether in Canada or the States, there's usually ways that you can go about that. But most parenting plans already have some sort of provision for what you can do for traveling within the country, what you can do for traveling internationally, what kind of notice and plans and information that you have to give to the other parent and all that kind of stuff. So number one, find that parenting plan. Even if you've been going through it for years and years and years, go read through it, double check, see where you're at with that. Remember with your parenting schedule that's going to mean that there are some times when you might not be able to travel. Hopefully you have a relatively good relationship with the other parent where you can negotiate these things, especially over summer holidays, that trade times. If not, it may mean that your amount of time that you can travel is limited. But that doesn't mean that travel is out of the question. So definitely look at your parenting plan, make sure you know what your rights are. As far as the parenting plan goes, make sure you know what your rights are as far as the country that you live in are concerned, and make sure that you know what you can and cannot do as far as your parenting plan. But even with some of those restrictions, and I live with them too, it doesn't make travel impossible, just means that you have to be a little bit creative on how and where and when you go. Does that mean that if you're gonna go to Japan like we are, you're gonna be going in summer when it's hot and icky and sticky? Yeah, it does. But even a little bit of discomfort like that doesn't take away from the amazing opportunities that travel is going to give you. Next barrier, I can't do this by myself thoughts. And you know what? Not gonna lie, if you're traveling with multiple kids especially, it can be difficult. But here's the thing, there are plenty of ways to make it easier. Number one, obviously, just being present and having a plan. Knowing what you're doing and when, times, places. For instance, having a plan for the airports that you're going to be in. Where are you going to eat if you need to? Do you know where the bathrooms are? Most airports have their maps published on their website, so you can actually make those plans ahead of time. Give each of your children a job, especially if you have older children, they can help you. I'm lucky enough to have kids that are old enough to help out with various tasks. My oldest child holds the passports and boarding passes for me. My middle child is the one that helps us find food. Everybody has their job, their thing that they can do. Because I have 3 kids, it's always easier to pair off to make sure that nobody is left alone at any point in time. But even if you can't do that, you can still travel as a group. You can still make sure that the kids are involved in helping you and having a little bit of responsibility. And those little things that the kids do are going to be things that definitely help lift the burden of the trip. Make sure that everybody knows the plan. If you're going on a trip like we did to Jamaica, you know, have that itinerary that everybody knows, okay, day 1 we're doing this, day 2 we're doing this. Because the more that everybody knows what's going on, the easier time you have wrangling everything. Pre-trip also, just pack light. There's a whole bunch of stuff that you're probably thinking you need to pack that you don't need to pack. So look at what you're doing, look at how long you're going for. If you're going for more than 7 days, it's probably well easier to pay for laundry where you're going than it is to pack a suitcase when you could just pack carry-on and such like that. If you're carrying lighter things, it means that you don't have the burden of carrying suitcases and all that kind of stuff with you. Again, makes it easier. If you're not sure what you're going to be bringing or what you should be packing on your trip, check the comments below, have our packing list in there, and it's going to give you some really good and easy ways to pack light using only your carry-on allowances. But at the end of the day, it's not about doing it all right. It's about just doing it, trying, seeing. And you know what? When your kids see you do it and get past your own struggles and fears and insecurities, they're gonna see that, and that's gonna be the lesson that they learn as well. So, like Nike says, just do it. All right, we've talked about why you should be doing it, we've talked about the blockers, and now it's time to talk about how to make it happen. So I'm gonna break it down into 4 easy steps for you in order to start making your dreams and your plans come true. So step 1, start with what you have. If you wait for the perfect time or to have all the money saved and everything to be perfect, let's be honest, it's not gonna happen. Start today, start with what you have, make a plan, and start actually actioning it. Like I said, Nike said it best. Just do it. Get in there, start planning today. Step 2, if you can, think bigger than a weekend. Weekend getaways are great, they're valuable, they're fun, but if you really want to do this, my recommendation, go big. Look for a time, probably during the summer, when you can take your vacation time, if you have a week, if you have 2 weeks, whatever, for the maximum amount of time you can, book that time off now and just start planning. And look, I know, you probably can't do a trip that takes 1 to 2 weeks every year. Budgets don't allow for that, and that's okay. Even if you do it every 2 years or every 5 years, that's okay. But starting that planning process, putting something together that your family can gel around, that they can start to get excited about, you'll start to see a big difference. Step 3, and this is a biggie actually, let your kids be part of the planning. Your kids are going to have a wealth of ideas, especially if it's a place that they're excited about. We're going to be going to Japan next year, and my kids have inundated me with ideas and places to go and things to do, more so than we can actually do in the time that we're going to have. But getting your kids as part of the planning crew gives them some agency, gives them something to be excited about. And also will give you something to be excited about as well, because as a parent, I'm sure you know there's nothing more exhilarating than seeing your child excited about something. Step 4, make it happen. There is nothing more motivating than a deadline. So get out there, look for where you want to go, and book it. Once you've got that booking, or the hotel, or the flight, or whatever little piece makes this trip real, you're gonna find your motivation goes right up, and suddenly it's plain day, and you're flying, and you're out there, and you're making memories with your kids and with your family. You don't need perfect circumstances. You don't need all your ducks all in a row. No trip is going to be exactly perfect. But once you get out there, once you do it, once you make it real, well, like me, you may find yourself having caught the travel bug with your kids. And nothing wrong with that. All right, so if you've made it this far with me, clearly you have at least a passing interest in actually making some travel happen. So it's time for me to talk to you about where you should actually go on your first international trip. Now, as most of you guys will know, we just came back from Jamaica, and I would definitely recommend it as a great first travel spot. But it is not the cheapest place to go. Prices in Jamaica, because it is a very tourist-heavy country, are quite high. But like I mentioned before, there are other places that even though the plane ticket is more expensive, you can actually live quite nicely on a lower budget per day. Places in Southeast Asia like Thailand or Vietnam, Eastern European countries are also very good if you want to be more into Europe. But of course, those depend on your comfort level going a little further afield. If you're looking for something a little closer, even Costa Rica is a great option. All of those offer a lot of good English-speaking people. The people are friendly there, and the prices are relatively inexpensive. They are all great spots for a beginner trip. Anyway, that's it. But before we go, I want to hear from you guys. What's holding you back from your first trip? Are there any questions that you have that I haven't answered yet? Let me know down in the comments, because I want to do some more of these and make them really useful for you as well. Anyway, I hope this video was useful for you. I really hope that if it was, that you'll like and subscribe and watch this video coming up next, because the algorithm thinks you'll love it. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep exploring.